Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jalen and I have the most exciting vlog that I will film this year, at least for me. But I have in my hands a book that I am very excited about, and you will already know what it is because the title says what it is. I'm being so dramatic. But it is Sally Rooney's new book, Beautiful World, Where Are You? This comes out September 7th. And I am beyond excited for it. I have a friend who let me borrow this, and I am so grateful. Yeah, I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to get my hands on one of these babies, but I did, and I am so excited, and I want to vlog the entire process because Sally Rooney is a author that I absolutely adore. I read Normal People and Conversations with Friends, I believe in 2019, and those two books I attribute to sparking my love for reading again. I remember I attended my first book club for Normal People and I absolutely adored it. Those two books were a rare instance for me of like pure unputdownable joy. I absolutely loved them. They were like candy for me. I loved it so much. I loved the interpersonal, fraught relationship, very millennial vibes. I just loved everything about it. I mean, I know those books have been talked about to death, and I probably won't bring anything new to the discussion about those two, but just want to let you know that I adore Sally Rooney, and so I am beyond excited for this. I think this is my most anticipated book of the year. I know another one was Brendan Taylor's Filthy Animals and this one, so I'm going to keep this vlog, spoiler free. I will probably go into like minor plot details, like who the characters are, what their deal is. I'm not going to spoil anything major other than just like what the book is about, basically. But yeah, so I guess we will see where this book takes me. I recently watched Jasmine Reed's, her reading vlog for this, and she loved it. I think she said it was right up there with Normal People for her. So that's amazing. I think my favorite of hers is Normal People. What I do know about this book is it follows four people that are in their late 20s and early 30s. We're getting out of the young 20-something vibes of Normal People and Conversations with Friends, so that's interesting. I guess we're kind of following the maturity of Sally Rooney as she is also getting older than young early 20s. This is actually like chunkier than I thought it was going to be. The proof has 353 pages, which it's not long by any means, but for me, I'm always like, long. But I guess more Rooney to dive into. I'm excited. So I do have to give this back to my friend, so I'm going to be taking notes on my iPad so I remember everything when I return it for, reviews and such. But let's dive into it. I am very excited. So we'll check in when I have some more thoughts. Oh my god, first page. Okay. I'm so excited to read this book, you guys. I can't. I don't know if I can even focus because I'm so excited. But I will try. All right, let's do this. Okay, checking in really quick. I read the first page. Let me give a first page reaction. I am so happy to be back in the hands of Sally Rooney. She is a master. She is incredible. Skip ahead if you don't want any spoilers, of course. We have a woman sitting in a bar waiting for her date, and just like the simple, like intimate, ruminative prose that Sally Rooney is giving here is just so Rooney, quintessential Rooney. Okay, anyways, yeah, I just want to give a first page reaction, but I will keep reading. I will not react to every page, I promise. Okay, hello everyone. I am 40 pages in, 3 chapters down. It's a banger, lads. It's a banger. It's so good so far. Not much has happened, but there's something okay. I'm trying to be intelligent with my review of Rooney. I feel like it's hard for me to kind of distill what I love so much about it. Just that it's a joyful reading experience in terms of having beautiful character studies and just like these intimate relationships that are so beautifully described, and not beautiful in terms of like poetic prose per se, but just in terms of like the simplicity and like intimacy with which Rooney is able to kind of get into the minds of characters using a third person perspective. What's interesting here though is that one of the chapters is from Alice, one of our main characters. She's writing to her friend Eileen. So the first chapter is told in a past third person perspective, and the second chapter is first person because it's like a letter email drafted to the friend. But I kind of like the way that she's breaking up the narrative with these kind of conversations between each other. I already looked at the next chapter, and that's a letter from Eileen to Alice. But basically what we're getting so far is a bunch of setup in terms of meeting the characters. We have Alice, who is a novelist. We have Eileen, who is an editorial assistant for a literary journal. We have Simon, who is a childhood friend, acquaintance of hers that she's known forever and now she is flirting with in the present, but he is an advisor for a parliamentary group. And the first date I mentioned previously is between Alice and Felix, who works at a shipping warehouse, and they met online. And then the last chapter I just read is mostly from Eileen's perspective of sorts, and we kind of get more into her background as she grows up, and we learn more about her friendship with Alice and how Alice becomes a novelist. And one thing I just wanted to note really quickly, I'm not sure if this is kind of like a lame or easy comparison to make, but Alice, the novelist, she's giving me like blank space Taylor Swift vibes. And what I mean by that is in Blank Space by Taylor Swift, which I love. Taylor Swift kind of plays into the caricature that the media kind of represented her as, playing into this woman who dates incessantly and playing into that and saying like, wow, if I really was this person, let me write a song from the perspective of that person. And to me, Alice is an interesting character. We don't know too much about her so far, but she kind of is playing into this, like in one of the letters to Eileen, she talks about like capitalism and conservative politics and how those are kind of incongruous to each other, like on paper, in terms of like conservatives not being truly conservationists, I guess, or not really conserving things in terms of, you know, operating under capitalism full-heartedly. And I remember watching some interviews with Sally Rooney in terms of like discussing whether her novels are Marxist novels and talking about socialism. And it seems like Alice also is playing into this idea of, I mean, of course she's a novelist, Sally Rooney is a novelist, and we see her publish a book, and then later there's this one line where she talks about how the book was received with positive reviews and then later negative reviews reflecting on those positive reviews, which if you followed any of the Sally Rooney discourse, seems very self-aware and meta in that sense, but also Alice is portrayed as being quite aggressive, it seems like. She calls someone at a party a fascist pig, she questions Simon's religious beliefs in terms of him being Catholic, and she just seems very aggressive, and it seems kind of like what Sally Rooney's critics say about her, she's trying to represent a little bit in Alice and kind of marking the distinction there. But that's just my initial prediction with this. I want to learn more about Alice, but it's interesting having a novelist be in this book. I'm questioning what Sally Rooney's doing there. But yeah, great so far. Lovely character study. I like that this is between four friends, kind of going back to the conversations with friends vibes, but definitely different and a little bit more mature in terms of looking at some characters in their late 20s, early 30s. But initial thoughts, I will come back when I've read more. It's a banger, lads. Loving it. Okay, hello everyone. I am checking in. I have reached page 125 or chapter 13, and I thought I would check in now and kind of give an update on what I'm thinking. I will say I'm absolutely in love with this book so far. I'm having such a good time reading this book that, dare I say, if it keeps giving what this has given already, I can definitely see this being maybe my favorite book of the year so far. Of course, I don't want to overhype anything, so stick around for final thoughts at the end of this video. But right now, I am adoring this. I think Sally Rooney has grown immensely as a writer. I think she's dealing with a lot more bigger thematic issues that she's exploring directly through these characters. And so I think what I love the most about this so far is the correspondence between Alice and Eileen to Alice send each other long-form emails to each other that are in between each chapter. And I think those are the most interesting and fun aspects of this book so far. I think Sally Rooney's using her characters to kind of dabble into some like essayistic writing here. So we get Alice's take on subjects such as sexuality, and as a novelist, she talks about the contemporary novel and her problems with it, and her thinking about kind of like in a macro sense what the novel is doing these days. And what is so funny about this is Alice is talking about what seems to be the triviality of looking at sex and relationships and friendships in novels when the world is quite literally dying around us, and what is the purpose of a novel if not looking at the very real problems that are persisting in life. And Eileen debates her on this point, but it's also funny because this book is definitely a book about sex and relationships, and so it's meta in the sense that it's being self-critical and questioning what this book is doing generally. And I think Rooney is very self-aware of the criticisms that she has received and the praise that she's received, and I think she's kind of using this novel to reflect on her success so far and think about what her place as a novelist does for the kind of the contemporary literary scene. It seems like to me, again, this is fiction, so it's not Rooney writing an essay, it's more so Alice's perspective and Eileen's perspective on these issues. But I think it's so interesting to kind of get at the nuance there of what Rooney thinks herself about what her books are doing, and it's just very, very smart. It definitely feels like Rooney is winking at the reader throughout here, through those essayistic chapters. But aside from that, even the chapters in between, and if we look closer at the relationships between these four characters, it is my favorite style of writing, hands down. If you have read a Rooney novel, you know she kind of uses this clean, precise prose throughout, but she also has some very funny, witty remarks in here from her characters, and I'm just having so much fun with it. It's just really awesome to see Rooney grow as a writer overall, and I'm really excited to see where she's going to take the rest of this book. And that's the best feeling to have. So hopefully this, remains as good as it has been so far, but I guess I'm going to dive more into it tonight and probably read a bigger chunk now, so I'll probably check in one more time before I have final thoughts once I finish it. So I'm going to go do that. Peace. Okay, hello everyone. It is like 8:30 at night. I'm going to be relaxing and reading some more of the book. If you're new to my channel or a regular, you know I always try to share at least one drink a video. And today I have this white wine, but I guess it's an orange wine, so I wanted to try orange wine. I saw it on a Netflix show recently. Brown, come on! So I wanted to try orange wine because I saw this on a Netflix show, and it's been in my mind ever since. So I went to my local wine shop and found this. It's an Italian red, what am I saying? It's an Italian white wine, but it has like this haze going on with it. I guess with orange wine, they like make it like red wine. They might like leave the skin of the grapes or something on to give it more body. Could be totally lying to you, but we'll see what it's giving. I'll enjoy it while I read the book. So let me pour a glass really quick. It was kind of expensive too, so I hope it's worth it, but. It's my exercise for the day. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so if you can see, it has like a hazy look to it for a white wine. So I like wine, but I don't know the first thing about it, to be honest. So let's see. Ooh, it smells good. Ooh, it's very good. I wish I was sophisticated enough to tell you what I'm tasting. But it does have like more, it has like a fruity note. It's less dry than like a Sauvignon Blanc. It's excellent though. So good. Oh my god. I love this. Oh yeah, if you didn't see, I'll try to find some more and see different kinds that there are. But it's good. Everyone. So I have about 50 pages left of the Rooney, and I'm gonna record myself finishing it up, and then I'll come back with some final thoughts on the book. But I can say, get your pre-orders in. It is so good, and I'm sad that it's almost over because I won't have any more Rooney for years, presumably. So, bittersweet, bittersweet. All right, I'll check in a bit. So I'll be quick. I just finished this. I almost cried. Feeling emotional. Best book of the year so far. Hands down. She really outdid herself with this novel. I think I'm gonna sleep on this and then come back tomorrow with final thoughts. But it's absolutely brilliant. The hype is real. Alright, good night. Alright, hello everyone. So tuning in with some final thoughts on this brilliant book. I absolutely adored it. I already returned it to my friend last night, so I can no longer peruse its pages, unfortunately, but I did take like a bunch of pictures of certain pages just so I can have them in my memory until I get my final copy in September. So yeah, this book has so much going on. It is so attuned to our present moment. In like last clip when I got emotional, it just very much felt like a beautiful look and somewhat hopeful look on life, despite our bleak circumstances of living in a world that seems intent on destroying itself. This is definitely a book filled with anxiety about living in the cultural moment. A lot of the discussions that Eileen and Alice have in their email correspondence is about what it means to be living in the world now, and a lot of it is centered on living in a capitalist society, living in a world where political decisions are made that are so abhorrent. There are certain passages in which we see the characters kind of grappling with whether they want to have children, thinking about their biological clock, whether they should have children, and bringing them in a world that right now seems so terrible in so many ways. But I think while Rooney definitely looks at what's so poor about the world, she definitely instills a sense of hope, and in doing this she considers the novel. And so I think what she's doing here so brilliantly is making the case for the novel generally. If you can't tell, the letters were my favorite part of this book, but it gives so much context to the relationship, power imbalance, miscommunication drama that ensues in the other chapters. But it's really nice to see from the perspective of both Alice and Eileen and how their mindsets are impacting the way that they approach their individual relationship. What is really cool about this book is it's hard not to mention that Alice is a novelist. I mentioned this previously in a clip when I had my initial thoughts on what Rooney was doing with the character of Alice. But I do think she is really considering her own place in the literary world and considering the criticisms that she's received for her work, especially how she often focuses on just, characters falling in and out of love, miscommunicating, very millennial online, much of the discourse that is around her. And I really think Rooney with this book is saying, oh, so you want to give some discourse on my books. You want a discourse, here you go. And I think that's so cool that she took the creative risk in terms of subtly but kind of also directly addressing her critics and kind of getting ahead of the discourse that's ultimately going to ensue when this book is released. I do think she makes some interesting narrative decisions here, particularly in her descriptions of the romance between the different characters. Book is quite sexual, which I don't recall her other books being this explicit in their depictions of sex, which was interesting to me. But also in the book, Rooney seems to be directly exploring the question of what it means to be writing books about sex and relationships and whether those have any kind of merit. And she is questioning whether, if books are not about, trying to push civilization forward, if we're not constantly making strides towards pushing technology and solving solutions as individual people, and for her in her novels, what does that mean for her? Does her work have merit? And she answers this question for the reader, absolutely. And I think what's so gorgeous about this book and why it moved me so much is Rooney makes a case of it is important to be making individual decisions in order to better oneself and others around them and society at large. And despite us not likely being able to make a significant impact on this planet in our lifetimes, what we do need to root ourselves in is love for each other, platonic or otherwise. These characters, what they're all looking for is just some sense of happiness. You see them strive toward it through these relationships, and it's, classic Rooneyisms in terms of having characters that are often hurting each other, but they do love each other at the same time, and growing together and apart and together again, and seeing how they're going to come to some form of resolution. The book deals a lot with religion and faith and wondering what you can kind of confide yourself in, whether that be people, whether that be God, and considering just this natural sense of longing amongst all these characters of trying to find happiness in their purpose, and whether they need to do that with other people or without them, and through their careers, etc. I just think it's such a beautiful look at humanity and the human condition, and I think the best novels explore these questions, and I love that Rooney is able to do this while being fully aware of the seeming triviality of her novels in terms of it just being about relationships and sex and friendship, but how much of that is so rooted in our everyday life and how it seems to be often overlooked particularly in like criticism of contemporary work. What is the merit of the mundane, of just pure things that make people happy? Like, why can that not be in a novel? And so I think she's raising a ton of interesting questions about capitalism, about religion, about Marxism, about love, about the internet, about, an interconnected present, about the novel. There's just so much going on here. And these are all questions that I've loved to explore recently in fiction. I wish I kind of sat down a little bit more and wrote down some clearer thoughts, but I hope you can kind of understand just the emotional pull that I felt while reading this book. In terms of the book just addressing so many of the questions that I think about constantly, as many people do. Like, what is my purpose in life? What does it mean to be happy? What do I want out of life? What is the meaning of it all when everything is so shitty all the time? How do you find hope? I think the title is very apt. Beautiful world, where are you? These characters are pleading for a sense of beauty, a sense of hope, a sense of resiliency, and just purely love. I think that's the strongest aspect of this novel, of its look at love. And I do think this book is going to receive a lot of criticism. I foresee about it being too maybe fluffy at times, or I can see people maybe thinking this book is too sentimental at times. However, I thought it was perfectly balanced, especially with those aspects in which Rooney is addressing criticism before it's even presented to her. And you can tell she's really grappled with herself in this novel. And I think it shows so much growth for her as a writer while still keeping all of the amazing things that you love about Rooney in this book as well. It's very self-aware, very meta. I love when my books are like that. I think this is an incredible book. Definitely the best book that Rooney's written ever. I foresee this making the Booker long list, if not the short list. It is so present and so vital and just made me think so much. It made me so emotional. It's so smart. It's so beautifully written, and it's evocative. It made me feel like I was in the heads of these characters. It made me feel like I was sitting with them amidst the four of them, and I just loved my time with them. She even talks about this: when you care about characters in a novel, what does that mean? And her discussions of religion and stuff. And it's just so interesting to me. But I guess I will leave it there. I will say the last two chapters, she does something interesting that completely it got me. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. I love it so much. I feel like I've been rambling about this book, but long story short, definitely read it when it comes out. Amazing. I cannot wait for more people to read it. I'm actually kind of annoyed that I read it already, because kind of sitting here in my thoughts, and I'll have to wait, I guess, for more people to read it. But yeah, I hope you like this vlog. I am so glad I vlogged this experience reading this book because I've been waiting for it. And I told myself when the Rooney dropped, doing a vlog. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I don't have a drink. I usually say cheers, but cheers.